My 26 female boyfriend, 35 male, choked me until I passed out during. Waited until he finished to check on me. My guy isn't a fan of vanilla, but I am. He liked the BDSM aspect of things. I had scarcely done anything other than missionary work when we initially met 5 years ago. He is my second romantic partner and third partner. We experimented a little, and I discovered that I love being gently choked, which is to say that I liked having his hand on me, but nothing more. We were having a good time together last night when things started to turn odd, uncomfortable, and downright scary. I was flat on my stomach and he was on top of me. He became more forceful, yanking my hair and locking my arms at my sides. I didn't dispute since it was pleasant in the heat of the moment. He began choking me and placed me in a headlock. I couldn't breathe and began seeing lights in tunnel vision. I tried shifting my hands, but he had caught me. I attempted to use our safe word, but I couldn't. I couldn't even breathe. I blacked out. When I awoke, I was lying on my back. I began to weep and asked him how long I had been unconscious. He stated he wasn't sure, and that he didn't know. I'd passed out until he was done. I told him to leave me alone. He said I didn't say anything or tap out. How could I reasoned. You choked me and pinned me down till I passed out? I phoned a buddy and departed right away. He hasn't stopped phoning me all day. He doesn't want me to squander 5 years of a relationship on a single blunder. I'm reluctant to return to him. I'm concerned he didn't notice me no longer making noise. I'm really noisy, or becoming limp. My buddy says I can remain with her for as long as I like, so I've shut off my phone for the time being. In one of the final messages he sent me, he stated it's only because I'm inexperienced with breath play, which I have no idea what that means. He claimed we never discussed what would happen if things got out of hand, and I claim he took all of my choices away from me, pinning my arms down and choking me till I couldn't speak. I'm disgusted and violated. I considered making a police complaint, but for what? Nothing like this has ever occurred in the previous 5 years. Is this typical? Could it truly have been an accident that I'm exaggerating? Is it possible that I simply didn't get kinky? Update. I can't go into too much detail, but the clinic I attended sent me to the hospital, where I had a thorough workup and met with a DV advocate and police officers. The severity of my injuries was such that I was given an urgent order of protection. This was the final text message I received from him before changing my phone number. Many comments were accurate, I believe, in that this was a test to see how far he could go. All of my large items are in storage at my parents' house, and I've been spending the last couple of nights alternating between a couple of different friends' homes. I want to relocate a few cities away to get as far away from him as possible. My advocate scheduled an appointment with a therapist for me this morning, and I met with her. I'm not sleeping well right now, but I'm surrounded by supportive individuals who will help me get through this. Thank you very much. The clarity you all provided me with most likely saved my life. Story 2. Why do girls have relationships with married men? I've never understood why a woman would choose to be associated with a married man on her own initiative. There are a large number of single men in the area. I'm attempting to figure out what's going on in their thoughts right now. I'm only speaking to women who make a deliberate decision to start dating married men, not to women who are just unaware of their actions. Among my circle of friends, I have one friend who is more like a friend in my circle of friends. I wouldn't consider myself close to her, but she confides in me about her life, who started speaking with a married person and fell in love with him. I have no idea what happened. Not only did she have with him, but I'd say she was almost in love with him. From what I could see, he didn't have anything particularly distinguishing about him. Her story would have him telling her how much he loves her and wants to spend the rest of his life with her, and I pretend he's married to her. This individual and his wife were the parents of a child. My friend would rationalize everything by stating that he is dissatisfied with her and wants to spend more time with me instead. It seemed to be really foolish of her to behave in such a naive or careless manner. We're both 26 years old, and I'm baffled as to what she's thinking, given that it's obvious to me that he's a cheater who is also clearly cheating on other females with other women. After that, his wife found out and notified my friend that he was married, assuming she was not aware of his relationship with her. My friend has practically informed her that if she isn't doing everything she can to make him happy, he would seek me out. Her husband's wife told her to stay away from him. Since they had a kid together and she did not work, his wife had no intention of abandoning him, according to him. After having this talk with his wife, my friend got even more enamored with this individual. It seemed as if she was attempting to establish herself as his #1 priority. She would often make comparisons between herself and his wife, as though I were far more attractive. She has an extremely ugly appearance. She would post on Instagram stories and include something personal to him, such as a bit of his arm or anything else, just so his wife would notice. They'd track down their respective IGs. After a while, he and his wife decided to take a holiday. During this time, he continued to be involved with my friend. Fortunately, my friend learned that they were sleeping in the same bed at night, and that they were planning a trip before the break was through. He told my friend that he was only going on the vacas since the baby was with him. Finally, I suppose he and his wife made an effort to resolve the situation, and he told her of the situation, but she would not take a no for an answer. She persisted in her efforts to persuade him to be with her, sending nudes and texting him on a regular basis. In the end, he couldn't resist the want to have relations with her. But when they were through, he would instruct her to cease all contact with him. He eventually blocked her, but she continued to post things on social media, pretending to be with him for his wife to see. She was enraged when he blocked her, and she proceeded to make unsuccessful attempts to reach him. I just don't understand her. Is it because these women are insecure that they behave in this manner? When I find out that a man is married, I immediately lose interest in him. Story 3. Should I confess to my unintentional infidelity? I just returned to my native state to attend to the death of a close family member. I went out with old pals to get away from the pain, and ended up drinking so much that I blacked out. My female friend drove me to her home and offered me a place to stay. We shared a bed since she had a single BR. I suffer from parasomnia, which causes me to speak and move about in my sleep. I routinely initiate with my present and former partners when totally sleeping. This occurred to a friend of mine. Intercourse continued till she awakened me up, I regained my bearings, understood where I was, and it came to an end. I'm not avoiding responsibility for the incident, since it was caused by my earlier decision to drink excessively. We have no hidden emotions for one another and seldom see or communicate with each other until I'm in town with our circle of pals on occasion. I feel terrible about what occurred and am frightened of telling my girlfriend. Her prior partner cheated on her repeatedly throughout their relationship, so she has trust problems and has taken that trauma into our relationship, which she has wrongly held against me in the past. I used to take pleasure in not being a cheater, and I have no intention of doing so again now that I am disgusted by my drunken sleeping habits. This is the person I intend to spend the rest of my life with. I know how much she means to me now more than ever, and I don't want to lose her. Right now, I'm torn. I'm carrying a great amount of shame on my shoulders. If I keep it to myself, I'll have to deal with it all on my own and perhaps come to terms with what I've done. Or I inform her for the sake of honesty and throw most of the load onto her. She'll either end things or have her faith in me crushed for good. We've come a long way in her trusting me even when nothing was going on. And now that something has occurred, the whole nature of our relationship has changed. I'm looking for comments and suggestions.